jump in this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Hey guys, so this is an episode I wasn't even going to post. I had kind of gotten really upset with what happened to the car, and so I wasn't even going to post a video, and we kind of stopped filming a lot of parts of the build on the car towards the end because I just needed to get it done. And then once I got it done, well, you'll see what happened. And so here it sits, and so just bear with me. I just went ahead and finished editing what I had, the footage I had available for this episode, so that way the guys that were asking about it, they'll see what happened. It's not completely dead, but it's just going to cost more money and time to fix it. And the company responsible for it basically told me to F off. So back to the video. Yeah, my dad's old Chevelle had almost reverted back to a barn find stage. I've kind of neglected it and haven't worked on it for a while now. I did work on it while I moved, or since I've been in this new house, but not a lot. I've got a bunch of little things tidied up, then I've had to let it sit so I can take care of some other things. And I need to get back on this thing, but first I need to blow all the dust out so that way I can get back to doing some mechanical funness and getting this car race ready. Well, not really race ready, but I'm used to saying race ready. Yeah, the old Chevelle looks quite a bit different since the last time you guys probably saw it. And I finally decided this weekend, you know what, I need to get this thing running. So I spent some time on it. I got all the electrical done. I got the plumbing done. The only thing I haven't done really is the AC system. I mean, I rebuilt the AC box and put a new heater core in it. That was all earlier. But as for making all new hoses for the AC system, I haven't done that. The only reason the condenser is out is so I can mount my trans cooler to it. And now it's actually kind of a bitch to pull that grill assembly out of there. A lot more into it than a Charger would be, but you know, I've never done a Chevelle before, so learn something new every time. Let's see, you got all the hoses, the belts. I had to do a lot of electrical on this thing to get it working. And you'll notice there is a 4-barrel on it, not a 2-barrel. There's a reasoning for that, and I spent way too much time porting and doing all that crap to that 2-barrel when, yeah, that was just a waste of time, because I was like, you know what? This thing's 20 over now. It's got just a tiny bit more compression. It's got better cylinder head. The cam is slightly bigger than stock, and at least with a 4-barrel, with the modern 4-barrel that has all the adjustable air bleeds in it and everything, I can tune that sucker and get this thing running tippy top. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna shit can the 2-barrel, because then I can put like the SS 4-barrel air cleaner on it. It'd be way cooler looking. And these batteries here, yeah, Walmart, 70 bucks. I don't know when's the last time you guys bought batteries, but batteries are stupid expensive now. And anything you can do to try and save a few bucks while building a car, have at it. And we got one of them cheapo batteries on that big block 10-to-1 compression car over there, the Super Beater, and that battery works just fine. And that's with 15 feet of battery cable on it. So the Walmart batteries, 70 bucks, winning. All right, so back to this thing. I don't even know where I left off on this car from filming last, but you know, I did upgrade it to a fan shroud with a clutch fan to free up some power and get a little bit better cooling out of it, and maybe even get colder AC. You know, because now that shroud will pull all the air through the radiator and condenser instead of just some of the air around it. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean this guy up. Yep, I'm gonna pressure wash it, get it all spiffy and clean, maybe throw a little bit of rattle can on it to make it look all shiny and black again. Well, satin and black again. So then I can zip tie my trans cooler on there and get the condenser back up in there. So then I can hook up my tranny lines, and then I should be able to fire up this thing and break it in. I believe everything is good to go. I believe. Just got done putting 4 gallons in it. Save 1 gallon in case I need a little assist on getting it started. But I got my trans cooler on. I topped off the tranny fluid. I think it is good to start now. All my cables are run. I went and got the correct battery. I think we're good. I know I don't have the throttle linkage on it, but I don't need that to fire it up. And I haven't heard this car run in 20 years. Yeah, I don't think I've heard this car run in 20 years. I remember at my dad's place like 20 years ago, I fired it up just to see if it would still run. And it took a little bit of help to get it to run then. So with the tiny cam and that rebuilt motor, I think it is safe to say it is cam braking time. I have a dummy light on it for the oil pressure, so I'm kind of wanting to you know, change that and put my mechanical gauge on it. I may do that. If the dummy gauge doesn't shut off when if it fires, well, you know, put the mechanical on it. All right, now got a good old trusty mechanical gauge. No longer relying on a dummy light. Come on. Hopefully this thing won't take too long to pick up fuel from the tank. But yeah, I have not even heard this thing turn over in 20 years. Oh, the dummy light doesn't come on no more. Oh, it's because it's unplugged. Okay. Oh, it stumbled. That is good news. It just needs more go juice and more timing, I think. More go juice. Crank in a little bit more. Crap, on a small block Chevy, which way does it go? All right, that's 1. Is this 8? Okay, yeah, that is 8. So it's 1, 8, 4. So, all right, so we're gonna go that way. Come on, little 283. Or actually, whatever a 20 over 283 is now. Ugh. I know it doesn't have fuel yet, so, but I'm just curious. Oh, what the hell? Accelerator pump is frozen? What? It hasn't been sitting that freaking long. Oh, wait. That's wet. Why are the freaking... Oh, that's got fuel. Why is this one not? Ah, stupid. Alright, for some reason, these threads won't work with these threads. It's just a Chinese piece of shit. Can't even get the thread pitch right or nothing. So luckily I've got this old Circle Track one. I'll put it on here just to get it fired up, but then, you know, I don't want this one on there because it's, you know, it's all anodized and doesn't match. But at least this good old American stuff will actually get fuel to the bowls without pissing all over the engine. All right, yeah, it's hokey and it's ugly, but you know what? Hopefully it doesn't leak. And I know the rear accelerator pump is working. The front's locked up because I'm pretty sure the pintle that's underneath the nozzle squirter is stuck. It's pretty common with those. I'll probably have to pull the squirter off and then just kind of like tap on that pintle and then snap the accelerator pump and let it pop up and free itself up. But See if this thing runs. I know it has oil pressure because when it was running, it was showing like 65, 70 pounds at idle. So, here we go. Come on, Dad, give it to me. All right. Oh, shit. Well, son of a bitch. Yeah, that braided hose is no good. We'll try this again. I've just decided that we don't need secondaries. Plug that off. I'll have to go to the speed shop tomorrow, SoCal Speed Shop, and get a proper fuel rail. But for now, I just want to hear the thing run and break in the cam. All right, so far so good. That's what I need to know. Let me crank the idle up and let the sucker run for a while. See, the idle air bleeds are not really set up to only run all the fuel on the primary, so it's gonna run like ass. Oh well. Doesn't sound half bad. Readjust those valves. Cam break-in went perfect. I think that whole issue with the inferior lifters is solved now. But this thing idles at 700 RPM with 20 inches of vacuum. And when you put it in gear, it idles at like 550, 570, and it still has like 18 inches of vacuum. I'm like, holy crap, you would think this cam is stock, but it's not. This cam actually has like 20 degrees more duration than a stock one, and the compression is only upped by about maybe half a point with these cylinder heads. And you know, with that Elbrock C4B intake manifold, and it's running so smooth. You'll hear just a little bit of lifter clatter. I mean, the camera usually picks up way more than what, you know, the human ear does. You know, it's like the camera picks up all the bad noises. But no, the only reason it has even remotely any kind of lifter noise is the cam is bigger. It's a 500 lift cam with 220 duration. And I think this cam stock was only like 420, 430 duration, or 420 lift. It might even have been 395. It was pretty pathetic. So, but for stock valve train, pretty good. And at temperature, you know, at 700 RPM idle, it still has 40 pounds at temperature. So that's pretty good. I'll take that. I would like to see more, but when the for a standard volume oil pump and the idle RPM that low, good enough. But yeah, such a, you can kind of hear the cam in it, just a tiny bit. Yeah, but this is what brings back the memories, the clankety clank of the column shift power glide. Listen. Look at that. This thing's idling at like 570 right now, according to what the timing light said, which is usually more accurate than a tach. This thing doesn't have a factory tach. It don't have oil pressure gauge. It don't have a temp gauge. It just has dummy lights. Doop doop. And both of them are off, which they should. I could definitely, from what I remember, I mean, we're talking 24 years ago, from what I can remember, you can feel this has a little cam, because before, this thing idle was so smooth and the car was so quiet because the cam was so pathetic. But I got things to do. I still gotta hook up a return spring. I gotta hook up a throttle linkage. You know, I gotta get AC lines made. There's still a lot of crap I gotta do. So, but it's running. Oh yeah, cruising in the old Chevelle. Last time I drove this car, I think I was sitting in my dad's lap driving it. It's so nice to be behind the wheel of this thing. And sorry for not filming a whole lot the last, you know, the end of this build. It just, I've had a whole lot going on, so it's been tinker on this thing when I can. But the cruise is nice. The only thing I don't like, and I kind of remember, is the power glide is so freaking noisy when it's in park. And when it's in neutral or any of the gears, the power glide's quiet. But when it's in park, this thing sounds like it's got a gear drive on the cam. It's just noisy. And then another thing I don't like is the lifters. They, it sounds like it's got a factory flat tappet solid cam in it, and it's kind of annoying. And this thing, the cam in this thing is so small, it should be perfectly quiet. But you know, it's got a comp cam in it with comp lifters. What can I say? Should have put a Howard's cam in it. Oh well. But I've done so much work to this thing. I've got the AC, I had all the AC lines done. I've been doing a lot of tuning with it. We did some suspension, dialing in the suspension. The last 2 days have just been driving and tuning and driving and adjusting and driving and nothing really fixing. And then, you know, sometimes the lights don't work, so it's got some faulty connections here and there. I need to rebuild the light switch, but this thing's leaving in like 2 days. And so I just haven't had time to do a whole lot of video on it. I just had to buckle down and get things done. One thing that does suck is the pulling up to gas pumps, because the filler is in the trunk, or the filler is on the very back of the car behind the rear bumper, and you have to really creep forward, which you end up pulling into the next gas pump. So I'm gonna go do that right now. And then I'm gonna hit the highway and see how well it does with the jet change. So what I have done is I go down and down and down on the primary jet until I start to feel it surge. And then I just go back up 2 jet sizes. And that's usually a pretty good cruising air fuel ratio. One thing with the transmission I don't like is when it upshifts, when you try and give it throttle and upshifting, it kind of lunges an RPM before it grabs the next gear. But nothing I can do about that. If you shift it manually, it doesn't do that. So it has something in the valve body. I don't know. I'm not fixing that. It really needs just an overdrive transmission. This transmission works good enough to do what it needs to do for now. Does the horn work? Nope. So we're gonna fill her up and hit the highway. This car hasn't had a proper bath in probably 25 years. So I think it's time that we go ahead and wash this thing up before we go ahead and get the tires balanced. And then I can get my lug cap cover on there and my trim ring. Yeah, I went ahead and got a Chevy air cleaner. One thing though, that is all that the engine is breathing through, and this is supposed to be for a 396. So I call bullshit on this being a good air cleaner. What I had to do is I had to drill a bunch of holes on the outside of the element under the base, so that way even this 283 could breathe, because you could feel it just kind of lay over on the highway. Drill them holes, then the sucker could sing. So let's go ahead and get this thing washed up. The Chevelle's officially done, and it's gonna be ready to head on its journey to Georgia here in a minute. If you notice, it's already dirty because the car has already been driven probably about 400 miles since its first turn of the key. My brother-in-law Jason is here, and he's the one that's going to escort this car back to Georgia. I can't do it. I wanted to drive it, but just the timing of things, and I've got to film roadkill in a couple days, and just if something would have happened, you know, not like it would, you know, because I put it together, but just in case, you know, I want to make sure I don't miss the shoot. And then I was going to spend some time with my sister out there too for her graduation. So it worked out to where Jason was in town doing a job, and then he'll just drive this thing back, and then I will be there in what, 5 days?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah, I will be in Georgia in 5 or 6 days. Hopefully he'll be there by then.
I hope so.
But this thing runs great. I mean, it pulls good. It's got that nice little cam in it. The only thing I don't like about the car right now is the lifters make a little bit of noise, and it's just a noisy set of lifters. So I'm gonna swap in a quieter set of lifters. I've tried the plunger up, the plunger down, it didn't make a difference. So they're just a little bit noisier for my taste, and for how small the cam is in this thing. When the engine's running, you should only be hearing the belts turning. I did add a set of Porter mufflers to the front side of the MagnaFlows, and that was just to tame it down, because with the MagnaFlows, I thought it was going to be pretty mellow because it's just a 283 that probably makes about 250 horse. It's got, you know, like I said, aluminum head, small cam, intake manifold, but and it's got a 650 carburetor on it. I figured it'd be a little bit quieter, but it was a little too loud for my taste, especially this being a cruiser and not making a bunch of power. Because when you don't have power but you have loud exhaust, it's not really a good note. It's just more of like a blah instead of a, you know, that nice muscly wah. Now it's going to be on its maiden journey back to my sister so she can enjoy it, do some cosmetic things to it, upgrade it. I know she wants to paint it because she's all about the bling, and you know, she's gonna fix the dome light, you know. Well, actually, by all of the thing that's going to be done, it's most likely Jason.
Most likely. Yeah, that'll be me.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see this car back on the road. This thing hasn't left Vegas since 1992 when we moved here. So, are you going through Texas?
I am.
So the car will go back to its homeland in Texas for a short
Dallas.
stint.
I'm going straight through Dallas, and I'm stopping in Abilene.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the car will visit its hometown for an hour.
It'll get to wave on its way through.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here. See ya. On its way to Georgia. New homeland for this car. And this car being a Western car, completely rust-free, the Georgians are going to be like, wow, that thing is super clean. Well, can go to Kim so she can enjoy it, and maybe pass it on down to the girls later in life, whatever.
There you go.
Oh, actually, you can use this as leverage. Yeah. Whichever girl behaves the best as an adult gets the car.
There you go. As long as they don't drive like their mother.
No, this isn't deja vu. It really is back. Yep, I sent my brother-in-law off on his merry way, and about a couple hours later, I get a picture. I get a text, and it's oil all over the engine, all over the engine bay. And so then I'm like, I call him. He's like, I don't know. Everything was going perfectly fine. I just come over a hill, and all of a sudden, it started clattering, and the engine shut off, and that was it. Oil's oil, the whole underside of the hood is smoked. I mean, smoke pouring out of the engine, out from under the hood, out the exhaust. He's like, I think it's catastrophic. And I'm like, well, shit. All right, well, I'll go get the trailer. And then the whole way there, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what could I have possibly done wrong? What did I do wrong? You know, I checked the oil filter after the engine broke in. It was perfectly clean. I know all the bearing clearances were like 2 thousandths. I mean, I had the carburetor tuned good. Timing was set. I'm like, and I know the lifters were a little noisy, and I'm like, okay, I was gonna put better quality lifters in it, but did one of those lifters fail? But no, I'm kind of thinking a valve dropped, or the head of a valve snapped. And these were pre-assembled cylinder heads. These were out of the box cylinder heads that all I did was paint them and slap them on. And if that is what failed, I am going to be pissed, because this is the numbers motor and it probably destroyed this engine. So I'm going to before I tell you who it is, I'm going to contact them if that truly is the problem, and tell them to make it right. If they don't, then I will make sure everybody knows what brand it is. But for right now, let's diagnose it. We're just going to, first thing, pull the valve covers, pull all the rockers off, and if there is a valve broken, one valve will be sticking up higher than the rest of them. Here we go. Can you tell I'm just filled with enthusiasm?
Where you want to set this down?
It's in the trunk. Keys are in ignition, so the key's on the keyring. Oh, there's a ton of water in the motor, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just raining. Yep, cylinder heads. That valve is stuck down, so just shitty ass Chinese parts, I'm betting. Well, let's see if we can find the damage. I already know what it is, but let's just see how bad it is. Oh, come on, get out of there. Yep, you can tell right there something pounded the shit out of that piston. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be a hole in the piston. But, you know, that is still foobar. That piston needs to be replaced. There's no saving that piston. It probably looks worse in person than it does on camera. And here is the culprit. You probably won't see this on camera. Actually, you know what? Let me grab a flashlight real quick. But I was thinking maybe the brother-in-law accidentally over-revved it, but no, it is a clean break at the bottom of the valve. You can see that is what gave way. The head of the valve just popped off of the valve stem, and that's what killed the engine. I don't know if you can get a clean look at that. That is a clean break. And of course, then the valve bounced around in there and beat the shit out of everything, and you know, bent it up a little bit, or actually bent it up a lot of bit. But that's a clean break. What killed the engine is a cheap ass valve that popped off its stem, bounced around in the cylinder, and destroyed a lot of shit. Ooh, that thing is crammed in there, man. Might have to use both hands on this guy. Ah, here we go. Yep. Yep. 2 months later, it still has no motor in it. So I got kind of frustrated and really just don't have the funds right now to build an entire new engine. But walked into a spider web. Anyways, the 283, it's sitting right here. So the cylinder that blowed, or the cylinder that had the valve that dropped, it's got a crack in the cylinder wall. Which one is it? Oh, there it is. Yep, so there's a crack from the top of the cylinder wall all the way to the bottom. And that's where all the water got into the engine. Now, I could sleeve it and put this engine and rebuild it and get one more piston and buy one more cylinder head, which I shouldn't have to buy a cylinder head because Speedway Motors kind of boned me on that. And that's where I kind of got frustrated with this whole episode was. So I called Speedway Motors, told them, hey, one of your cylinder heads dropped a valve. This engine only had 400 miles on it. So they go, oh, we're sorry, it's out of warranty. I'm like, did you hear me? It only had 400 miles on this engine. Yeah, but it shows that you purchased it a year and a half ago and the warranty's only good for 1 year. And I was like, well, you do realize it takes people, you know, a while to build cars. I built the engine, then I had to finish building the car, so the engine never even went in the car until 3 months ago. And they're like, sorry, out of warranty. And I'm like, look, this is clearly a mechanical failure on your part. Sent them pictures. It dropped a head of a valve. The valve snapped in half. And would not help me whatsoever. Went through 3 different people. And so I finally just told them, like, you know what? I was going to try and keep this out of the video, but you know what? Screw you guys. Yeah, so Speedway Motors, customer service, garbage. You know, and I use Speedway Motors all the time for circle track racing. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep using them, or I'm just going to use someone else. Maybe I'll use Dave Motorsports or one of these other circle track outfits. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut ties with Speedway Motors after all, because that's bullshit. And a lot of manufacturers do this. You know, like the transmission in Patina. So that has a T56 Magnum 6-speed in it. Now, this transmission only had about 5,000 miles on it before the 3rd gear synchro went out. Like, there is no synchro in 3rd gear. So if you've seen it in the videos where it's like going into 3rd gear, because there's no synchro. And of course I call Tremec and they're like, oh, sorry, it's out of warranty. I'm like, it's got 5,000 miles on it. Like, oh yeah, but there's only a 1-year warranty. I'm like, it took me 2 years to build the car. I was like, I don't have $50,000 to throw at a car to build it right away. And it don't matter. So it seems like with a lot of the aftermarket world, yeah, the warranties that they put on these things, they know that we're never going to get these cars done in time to actually use the warranties. So, yes, I don't know. Pisses you off, but, you know, I tried to give Speedway Motors the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, hey, obviously these are some Chinese cylinder heads that you guys sell and just plaster your name on it. Like this cylinder head probably cost you what? I mean, they sell them for $600 each. That cylinder head probably cost them 150 bucks, 100 bucks. I was like, to keep a customer happy and keep using you guys after using for years, you couldn't just throw away $150, you know, and just replace a cylinder head that was an obvious mechanical failure. And, you know, and that's not even $150 is the cheap fix. It's gonna cost me like $2,000 to fix that engine, but I think we're gonna go ahead and just put a bigger motor in it. We're just gonna put a 350 or something in it, because the 283 is pretty, even with the upgraded parts and everything. Yes, it was faster than it was stock, but probably still not as fast as just like a stock 350. So I think we're just gonna put a probably like a Vortec 350 in it with just a tiny little cam, and put a turbo 350 in it because the Power Glide sucks. Yeah, it's needs an overdrive. So probably a 700 R4 with a 350, and that's what's going to happen with the Chevelle. I got to get caught up on some things though and get some stuff out of the way, and so in the meantime, fortunately, it's just going to sit there. And my sister didn't get to drive it for her college graduation. I had to tow it back. Well, that is the end of the Chevelle video for now. I'll try and get a bigger, better motor in it. And I'll probably hold on to that 283 because that was the engine in my dad's Chevelle. Maybe I'll get it fixed down the road or whatever and stuff it in a 67 El Camino if I can find one. Alrighty. Sucks to be this ending, but it is what it is.